Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time so we can start on time and end on time. Okay, I am Warren Fitzgerald Muhammad, the chairman of the board of the Acres Home Chamber for Business and Economic Development. And she just stepped out, but I was going to introduce her, sitting over in the blue at the table, the sign-in. That's Sheba Roy, and she is the executive director of the Acres Home Chamber for Business and Economic Development. So, thank you. So for short, we're just gonna call it the Acres Home Chamber. That's a long title. I want to thank you all for coming, and hopefully some more people will come in as we go through. But we don't want to waste your time. We want to use our time effectively. And this is the Acres Home Town Hall meeting. And I'll say right up front, this is not intended to be the only town hall meeting. This is the first. And we're going to talk, we have two issues that we want to discuss today and get your input and your thoughts on it. And then the whole thing is to try to organize as a community, okay? Because I hear people saying all the time, Acres Home is going to be gentrified. Well, the truth is we have been gentrified. The gentrification is already here. So the thing is, what are we going to do about it? The thought of this town hall germinated in my mind after, there she is, our executive director. Sheba informed me that she had visited one of the developments here. As a matter of fact, they're right down the sidewalk from where we are. If you go out this front gate and take a left and walk about 300 feet, there's a development by D.R. Horton, and I'm going to call names tonight. Yeah. And she came back and informed me that they are, what's the name of that marketing that under, Sheba? Yeah, they are marketing that housing development as being in Independent Heights. In Independent Heights. They're walking distance in Acres Home, but they're marketing and they're being instructed to market that development as being in Independent Heights. And if you go by most of these developments, you'll see different names. Independent Heights, you'll see it marketed as North Oaks, North Inwood, anything and everything but Acres Home. And it really teed me off. And if you go back through the history of this country or any country that's been colonized, the first thing the colonizer does is change the name, right? So we watching a movie just yesterday, and the indigenous man was talking to the speculator, and they asked him, where was he going? He said he was going home. And they said, where is home? He said, Nebraska. Nebraska. And the white guy told him, well, that's not Nebraska anymore, it's Nebraska. Change the name. And what is happening in our community is a rebranding of Acres Homes into something other than what we are. So it really rubbed me the wrong way, and I said, I want to get the community involved in this. So the first, we're going to have two sections to this town hall. The first is going to be legacy preservation, and the second will be land retention and land development, okay? So the purpose of the meeting is to discuss strategies for preserving community legacy and identity, explore land retention and land development opportunities, to engage stakeholders in collaborative planning, identify actionable next steps for community advancement, and schedule follow-up town halls for other issues. So tonight it's about legacy and land. You may have other issues that are pertinent and relevant to the community that you want to be discussed. We can't do it all in one night, in one meeting. So we're committed to this process, and we'll make this facility available at least once a month so that we can have follow-up town halls and develop other issues that you think are important that you want to have addressed, and we can reconvene and talk about those issues as well. Okay? Everybody okay? Okay. Town hall ground rules. We got to have some ground rules so that we proceed in an organized fashion. First, one speaker at a time. So it's not a throw-up session. We're not coming together to throw up over each other and throw up on other people and call each other out of names and, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's not a throw-up session. So everybody will get a chance and an opportunity to speak and express themselves, but one at a time. Respect all participants. So if someone says something and they disagree with your position, you're welcome to disagree. But we can agree to disagree, but we can't become disrespectful to each other. So no name calling, no cussing each other out and all of that. Stay on topic. We have 2 issues for tonight. So when you make your comment or ask your question or whatever, we want it to be relevant to these 2 topics for tonight. There are going to be other topics, other opportunities to speak and air out everything that's affecting our community. Focus on solutions. We're going to discuss the problem and the issues, but tonight we really want to get down into what solutions can we come up with. Keep comments concise. And we're going to ask each person to hold their comments to 2 minutes. And if anybody would like to be the timekeeper, I'm going to take volunteers. Anybody like to be the timekeeper? Can the timekeeper get an extra 30 minutes? No. Timekeeper just got disqualified. You going to keep it? Okay. This is Alice Johnson Wright, high school classmate, been knowing her all of her life and mine. When she says 2 minutes, please terminate your conversation and respect the time, because we want everybody to get a chance. And if one person gets up and talk 10, 15 minutes, somebody else is not going to get a chance to talk. Okay? Avoid personal attacks. We've already covered that. And maintain confidentiality where appropriate. So if someone says something and they ask us to keep it just in this room, let's respect that. Okay? So this is how we'll proceed. We'll have opening remarks, which I'm making now. The first part would be the legacy preservation. And I have a short presentation I want to make to give us an idea that I researched, and it can be one among other ideas. And after that presentation, we're going to open the floor for deliberative dialogue. And that's a special term. That means we talk to each other, we talk with each other, and if we follow those rules that we just went through, we can arrive at solutions rather than just perpetuating the problems. Then we can take a short break if anyone would like to get some snacks. You're welcome to get snacks. We got some water and some hors d'oeuvres and stuff. Anytime you want to get something, feel free to get up and get it. We can take a short break. Then the second part would be land retention and development. And we have a gentleman here, Odell, from Houston FinTech. He's going to talk to us about some opportunities that are available to us in the community so that we don't have to sell our property when we're under pressure. Because if you're like me, I own some land, my phone rings every day. Are you willing to sell your land? Do you want to sell your land? And they're trying to get my land on the cheap so they can go ahead and do some development. But there are opportunities and resources available, and Odell is going to present those. And he's not the only one. There are other people that have resources, but he's here and blessing us with his time and the information, so we want to give him a chance to talk and respect him. And then after that, we'll have open floor dialogue again to chop that up about what we've heard, what we think. And then we're going to hopefully end with action items and assignments, because we want to go away from here with some ideas for solutions and steps we can take, and hopefully we can develop some action items and some committees to start dealing with the problems, and then be able to come back and, address the problem in a wholesome fashion and not just complain. Because the whole time we complain and they're taking our land. Okay? And closing remarks will be few. Okay? So we want to get started? Everybody on the same page? We good? All All right, let's have some fun tonight. All right, legacy preservation. This is a short presentation I put together, and the purpose of it is to protect historical and cultural identity, to prevent external rebranding efforts, strengthen community recognition and pride, and create long-term preservation strategies. And most of you, I'm sure, are aware of the historical legacy of Acres Homes. This is truly a historical community. Goes back to shortly after World War I, when it was difficult for black people in Houston to buy land. And when they bought it, it was mostly tenant housing and, shotgun housing. Most of us were congregated in Fourth Ward. I know that's where my people were in Fourth Ward. But Acres Home afforded the opportunity to buy large tracts of land in 1 acre units. And that's where the name Acres Home comes from. And most of you probably know this, but for those who don't, just give it a quick historical background. And Acres Home, if you notice when you came in, there's a runner step and repeat in the front lobby that says, "Make Acres Home Black Wall Street." Because truly, Acres Home was a black Wall Street in those days. In Acres Home, we didn't have to leave Acres Home to get the things that we needed. We didn't have to leave to get the food we ate. We didn't have to, call a yellow cab to get a cab to take us somewhere. We had our own cab stands, our own bus lines. We had doctors, lawyers, pharmacies, you name it, we had it. We don't have it anymore, but that's our history. And if we don't preserve our history, no one is going to preserve it for us. So we want to discuss that. Second, prevent external rebranding efforts. And as we talked about, there are efforts, and it's actually taking place as we speak. And I'll give you one little story. I have a piece of land that I was willing to sell, and a potential developer contacted me and wanted to buy it. And they offered me a sizable amount of money to buy my property. I told them I had one condition that they put in the contract, that they will not market. I told them, if you buy it, you got a right to build on it. I can't tell you what to build. If I don't like 3-story homes, I can't tell them don't build a 3-story home. They bought it, they can develop it. But I told them I wanted in that contract that they will not market that development as being in a community other than the one it sits in. Do you know they walked away from the deal? And they tried to pressure me to take the money, and I refused to take the money unless they would meet my condition to help preserve the legacy and history of this community. Now, I'm not a rich man. I could have used that money, but it was more important to me to fight for our legacy and our cultural identity. And it showed me that they clearly had an intention to do the very thing that I was talking about. They wanted to build it, market it as Inwood, North Oaks, any name other than Acres Home, because they are ashamed to use the name of our community. But we're not ashamed of it. We take pride in it. So, one of the things I researched was a heritage district designation. And that's an official City of Houston recognition that supports community-controlled identity signage, protects public-facing historical identity, and creates stronger resistance to outside rebranding. So basically what that is, I work with AI. AI is my #1 assistant, so you know. Says this is our strongest tool against rebranding. The City of Houston offers a heritage district program that officially recognizes a neighborhood's unique history. It protects the public realm, allowing community to install city-recognized signs that assert Acres Home's name at major entrances. So if we were able to get this designation, the objective would be to place entrance signs at every entrance to Acres Homes. You've seen some of those brick markers that says, "Welcome to such and such and such and so." That's one thing we could do collectively to protect the legacy and the name of Acres Homes. So no matter what D.R. Horton is telling them that they're selling it as, they got to ride right by that sign that says, "Welcome to Acres Homes." See, so that's something we can do ourselves. And at every entrance into Acres Homes, if we can raise the money, if we can raise the financing, we could put a marker at the entrance to Acres Homes. So no matter what they say, we say, "Welcome to Acres Homes." Okay? That makes sense? Okay. Now, it says to start this inquiry, contact the Houston Office of Preservation, and it gives a number, 832-393-6556. And I hope this is accurate. Sometimes AI can make some mistakes, but I hope this is accurate. But that's one of the things that we wanted to put on the table as something that we could do. And it will take a collective effort. And that's why I'm glad to see Rain here from the Community Advocacy Group. Glad to see Letitia Grant here from the Super Neighborhood. These are things that our organizations hopefully can collaborate with a unified voice and go to our politicians, our representatives. I'm glad to see Norma here, Ms. Shepherd here. These are stakeholders. We have a representative from Sylvia Garcia. And give me your name one more time. Adonica. So we want our representative to know that these are some of the things we're talking about. But if we could accomplish this, we can push back, we can fight back rather than just complain. Okay? So we would install monument signs at key entrances, target corridors such as West Montgomery, Victory, Ella Boulevards, because right here, Ella Boulevard turns into Wheatley. So right where it turns into Wheatley, that's Acres Homes. So we could put a sign there. With Victory, when you come off by Joe V's, and there used to be a brick sign, and it got knocked down. I don't know what happened to it, who took it. Somebody ran over it? Yeah. Yeah, okay, we're good. We had one there. We could put one on West Montgomery from the other end. Coming up, Lil Yard from the other end. We can identify every entrance to Acres Home and stake our claim that this is our community. We can use brick and stone, or, there are different types of materials that can be used, so whatever whatever gets the best bang for the buck, whatever we can raise. And from what I understand, it could cost anywhere from $5,000 to $40,000, depending on how elaborate you want to be. But the good thing is, according to this research, there are grants available. Yeah, so we can go after some of those grants. And if they're dollar matching, we raise some money and they match it, and we can get this done. Neighborhood matching grant opportunities, super neighborhood initiative grants, and I'd like for Letitia and if you got more information on this, please speak up. Okay. Partnerships with community advocacy organizations, and to mobilize local leadership and stakeholders. Okay, so I would really hope that you all would buy in with us, because it's not just a Warren Muhammad thing. It's not a Letitia project. It's a community project. So if we can come together as a community, we can speak in one voice and be strong. That's the only thing people will respect. Yes?
We have about, if we're going to do the reimbursement or the matching grant for the signs, we have about 11 months, because the expiration date every year is about April. Yeah. So every year we can apply.
Okay. That means we need to get started.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
It's up to $5,000.
Up to 5? Okay. Well, that's a start. Okay. Open floor discussion. We're going to open it up to you all now. And again, be wary of your time and the ground rules. Letitia.
Okay. Good afternoon or evening, everybody. My name is Letitia Grant. I'm the Acres Home Super Neighborhood Council President, but I'm also a real estate broker. So one of the things that I wanted to bring to light is when we refer to our community as Acres Homes, we as Acres Homes residents do that often. We are Acres Homes. However, our legal description does not indicate that we are Acres Homes. The legal description for many of you will be Highland Heights. The legal description for many of you are Lincoln City, Lincoln Park. So we function as everyone now has heard of Bridgely because of football. So Bridgeland is a master planned community with sub-communities inside of that community. Acres Homes would be considered the master planned community. But when I search Bridgeland, it comes up as a master planned community. Acres Homes does not. So one of our options could be to have Acres Homes included so that when someone goes in to say, oh, this is Highland Heights, which is what this area is, technically per the legal description, if we're talking about a novice, we're not someone that's familiar, talking about someone that's familiar with our culture. When they search it, it could come up to Acres Homes being a master planned community, which in an essence is what we resemble. So that may be a place for us to.
Is there a way to get that as an official designation?
There is, it's similar to, so you just talked about Wheatley Oaks. Wheatley Oaks is now officially its own subdivision inside of Acres Homes. So there is a way to get Acres Homes listed as a master plan community.
Can you, let's take some notes. Can you write that on the?
I'll show you the Rights Tender Institute one, but there is like some designations, like it's just very floaty. Yeah.
Go ahead, sure.
So, hello everyone, my name is Rain Eatman. I'm the executive director of the Acres Homes Community Advocacy Group. Right at the beginning of our organization 4 years ago, we tried to have conversations with the neighborhood around something called conservation districts, which would be community-created deed restrictions that would be enforced by the city of Houston. And it would give the community an opportunity to designate the character of the community. That's one key element in talking about preservation, is identifying the character of the community to make sure it's not as loose when you're building new properties or breaking down acres of land into subdivided plots, things of that nature. The only issue, I would say, if we are going to look at preservation, I would say we would go with conservation districts over heritage districts, because if you make a designation of heritage district, then you lock the community into following very specific rules when it comes to the general upkeep of those houses, and over time that could prove to be pricey for certain neighbors in the area. Think of the Greater Heights area. There's a very specific part of Yale that if you want to change a window pane, you have to go to the planning commission to make sure it's in alignment. Otherwise, you can get fined for falling out of scope. So if we are going to look into something in terms of like land preservation, I would say let's revisit the topic of conservation districts. One, because you can make them as small or as large as you want to. You can literally make it about 4 houses large and just break down a block until you get to an area that's completely protected, and developers would have to abide by those restrictions, and it would be enforced by the city. Thing number 2, with the signage, one, I can put you in contact with the Willow Run North Plaza Civic Club, because their sign was recently knocked down too. They also did the neighborhood matching grant with the Department of Neighborhoods, and they managed to find a contractor who was able to do theirs for $2,000. So that's one contact I want to offer you. And then lastly,
You get 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Lastly, another easy lift for the community would be, instead of trying to erect all of those larger signs, would be to do street art, street signs art, to where we're naming and having markers on our street signs to show that this boundary is the Acres Homes area, similar to what they did, tried to do in Greens Point by showing Northwest Management District on the street signs as you're approaching them. That's another easy lift that can be done with a smaller amount of buy-in, and that can be layered on top of the signs and on top of the conservation districts.
Okay, you write that down? Got it. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, no?
2 questions and a statement. The first is with regard to what Ray was saying about the conservation district and the heritage district. Isn't another differentiation, I don't know which way it goes, that you also have to have the permission of everybody on the street?
Yes, ma'am. So with
Which one is that?
With the conservation district, you do need permission, not of everyone, at least more than 50% of the people on that street, which the beauty in the design is that it doesn't have to have a minimum number of participants. So you can make a conservation district as small as 2 houses. And if you agree, you've met the threshold. So it's a little bit easier to craft all of those miniature conservation districts, but the key would be we would need to create a master plan of what all is the character of the Acres Homes community. Do we want a certain minimum lot size? Do we want a certain setback, something that is familiar to what we used to have in the communities? And once we get that in mind, we would need to create block captains within all of these different subdivisions to see who would be willing to take up that mantle. The other caveat is, with conservation districts, it only works well with communities that don't have active and updated deeds. So if you have an established neighborhood that has updated and protected and enforced deed restrictions, those are going to supersede whatever you put in your conservation district. So the key would be for us to start towards the center, because we did a survey, and the outer edge of Acres Homes, your Yorkdales, your Willow Runs, Carver Estates, those communities already have active deed restrictions that people are abiding by, but it's the center, the core that's completely left open. So if you want to make that more effective, if anybody wants to do that project, we would need to start heavy surveying in the core of Acres Homes and then work our way out in order for it to be effective.
Okay. Yes.
The other piece of that was, I don't know if she remembers, but Letitia had a gentleman at the super neighborhood meeting. He did an entire presentation on that. I held on to the handouts. I'll tell you where they are now, but perhaps if you recall, you could get that gentleman to come back.
He's not there no
more. Oh, he's not? Okay. The other piece was that we're talking about community boundaries. Maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I was doing some grant writing, and I came across an Acres Homes map that showed Pinemont as our southern boundary, not Chippewa.
Yeah,
It's
Pinemont.
high now. That's how I.
So we're talking about entry signs. We would want to go up to Pinemont.
Right.
And then the other thing, something else Ray said about, I think it was about the signage. If you incorporate art, then that opens the door for arts grants.
Okay.
And that's another source if we want to do those like street signs and decorations that could be leveraged on top of that.
And that's a good look, because the art will help beautify the community as well. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You talk about conservation. You know, you got a lot of people in Acres Home that, you know, the houses might have to be grandfathered in. You know, you have older buildings, you have people with horses, stables, everything. So then, how would all of that be addressed?
So that's the beauty of the conservation district, because once again, it's determined by the community. So the original way that it was set up, people would suggest guidelines and then try to convince community members that this would be the right thing, but it can actually work the other way around. The community can come together, create those guidelines, and then submit them. And when we attempted to do that first, we ran into an issue where we had individuals say they moved to Acres Homes because there were no deed restrictions, and they did not want to try to bring that back into the neighborhood. And so it was hard for us to get consensus back then, because residents were feeling as if it wasn't fair that the developers could come, take advantage of the no restrictions and build whatever they wanted, but they were suddenly having to restrict themselves. So the reality is that if you start on the front end and ask your neighbors, hey, what do we want the character of this block to look like? That's what you make the rules of your conservation district, and then you can go to the planning department and say, hey, by these guidelines, this is what we want our conservation district to look like, so that way you don't have to worry about grandfathering everyone in.
Anyone else?
I want to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
So I moved out in Acres Home in 1996, and I was in the Inwood Forest Village area where they did have like deeds. And so what I had noticed was, I didn't even know I lived in Acres Home. I thought I lived in Inwood Forest Village. So I was like, well, let me move, because me and my husband and our kids, we were like, our family was growing. And so we literally wanted to go fishing. So we had a boat, and we parked the boat in New York, and then it was like, well, you can't do that, that's a deed restriction. So now moving forward, I said it's time for me to move because I don't want to live in a deed restriction area. So we moved, bought property in Montgomery Terrace. Come find out there was no deed restrictions. And so I love that. And so now, moving forward, we've been there over 25 years. Now they want to put a deed restriction on in Montgomery Terrace now. And so I was like, oh my God. And you know, I went to a meeting and I met with I want to say Mr. Flowers, and they knew where I lived, and so they was like, well, who's the people across the street? They have a diesel in their yard, and you know, I was like, my neighbors. And so, long story short, I say that to say this: when as a child, I just thought like growing up, I lived in the land of the free, land of the rich, and these restrictions to me just don't sound like freedom. And that's what I did not care for. I wanted to feel free to do and live according to the way that I am as a human. And I keep everything nice and neat, everything is beautiful. But I'm just saying, you know, I understand why these are important, HOAs and things like that, but I just, you know, for me, it just don't sound like free. That's all.
Okay.
But I do agree with the signs and magnifying beauty. And
I'll come back to you. I'm gonna go around the room. Okay. Here.
I'm Kerry Staten, lifelong member of Acres Homes. About 10 years ago, I started with Acres Home Restorative Society. Never did get it off the map. I sent out a plan to a couple of people that I thought were instrumental and maybe influential in getting it across. I'm happy to have this meeting today. But I said that to preface where I'm going right now. If we're here for gentrification and we want to do something about gentrification, then we got to do some real acknowledgement. Acknowledgement number one is that we don't control what somebody else will. So if you don't have deed restrictions, then developers are going to do whatever they need to do to make the money that they need to make. If you want to be able to have your children live where you live, if that's what they choose to do, want to make it affordable, then you're going to have to put some barriers there so that the government will understand. That would be the city of Houston and the county of Harris, specifically the city of Houston that give the permits, that we want only certain amount of certain buildings to be built in a certain area. Not quite master plan, but almost. So what you're not going to see is a developer worried about a horse. You're not going to see a developer worried about cars and all that. You know why? Because he don't want no restrictions. So if he starts talking about a horse, then somebody going to ask him about putting 20 buildings on one lot. So he's not going to ask no questions. So what we got to do is we got to be real about it. We got to be real about what we're going to do with what's left of our neighborhood. Because 10 years ago, we had a whole lot of it. And if we were here 10 years ago, we would be in control. That deed restriction issue, it's about ignorance over knowledge. So you can put in your restrictions what you want, what Brandon is talking about, the conservation plan. You determine what's going to be restricted in and what's going to be restricted out. Primarily, concrete plants on DeSoto would be restricted out. So that lady that lived next door to that concrete plant on the corner of TC Justice and DeSoto wouldn't have to worry about the runoff in her yard. She done built a $300,000 house there on her acre lot, but she got concrete there, so she can't sell it for that.
Okay, Karen, we got 2 minutes.
So the reason why I'm getting emotional about it is because I've been doing this 10 years, and I'm just hearing the same thing, and I'm just saying, if we're about gentrification, if that's what we want to stop, we want to slow it down, then we got to be real and we got to be active. We can't just have meetings, we got to get moving.
Okay. Isaiah.
I agree with him about unification. I feel like that's what we need to do when pushing any initiative that we all decide to agree upon as a people of Acres Home. I think we need to be able to move together, but the information that you know, I think we need to be able to pass it down to the youth so so we can be able to spread the same type of knowledge, so that we can be able to all come together like this and have more of us in here, and not just 12 people every time y'all have a meeting and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then the people that have control over our neighborhood need to learn how to communicate the proper information and pass it down as well, and not be trying to hold it and be in smaller rooms and stuff like this. You know what I mean? Be in places like this and come together.
Thank you, Isaiah. Anyone else who hasn't spoken? Yes, sir.
You know, I think the missing piece, well, I don't want to say the missing piece and stuff, but I believe the attractive part to Acres Home has always been, like she said, freedom, but mainly ownership. The government don't control our community. It's the people that control the community. And the people that was there in the past had ownership in the community. Our ownership has been dwindling down. And so these big bad developers that we talk about is actually the people that's right there sitting next to you. Our elders actually own this very expensive land. Our kids we have pushed out because they can't even afford the land that our elders even have. So they can't even purchase back the information that we have. So when you look at development, it has to be a balanced approach. I was there, as he was talking about 10 years ago when my daddy and all the other elders was pressing and fighting against the apartment complexes and things like that because they were wanted. But out of ignorance, we didn't understand that we don't have rental properties in our area. So now our kids grew up and now they can't even afford the houses that it is because they got 2-acre lots with a 1,200 square foot house and they got to pay $2,500, $3,500 fresh out of college or fresh out of high school. They can't stay here, so they go to the land. They go to the Greens Points and things like that. And now you're asking them to come back and now they're priced out. So I agree that yes, we should have some controls in place and things like that. But I also agree that we need to partner with these big bad developers, which is our own people, which is me and a couple of other folks that's in here in this room and stuff like that. And it could be not the I don't want to say I guess the big bad Trump looking guy that's coming in our area. No, it's our own individuals that are looking to do something with the family legacy that they had and develop that legacy and then make some affordable housing for our people so that we can get that to ownership. So the faster we get that to ownership, the faster we get that to controlling. And we don't even need if all of us come together in a controlling standpoint because now we own the land that we talk about.
Thank you. And we're going to, I don't know if you were here when we first get started, but the second half is going to be about exactly that, land retention and land development. So we're going to go there.
One word to that?
Hold on, this.
That's cooperative economics. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else who hasn't spoken? Please speak up. Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? My name is Alafia Bailey. I just moved back to Houston from DC, and I'm a trained genealogist and an archivist as well as a museum of fine arts. And I'm really big on like preserving history. When I found out about this, I was like, I got to be here because of Acres Home as well. And right now in East Texas, I'm interviewing with elders right now, right? And I want to do that for Acres Homes as well. And so if y'all know any elders, you know, even people starting to hear that I can interview, I got all the equipment that we need to preserve our history because we're the only ones who can tell our story. You know what I mean? So if anybody knows anybody, I can start here. Anybody, I will interview you to keep our story because we have to be the keepers of our history. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So afterwards, I want to come up to you, I give them my number and all of that. So just keep the memory going.
Can I put your number here?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
281-703.
Okay.
8068.
And what's your name again?
Alafia Bailey.
Can you spell it?
ALAFIA. Last name Bailey.
Okay. And I'll read this to you if you can't read it.
Alafia.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, we got a new hand here. Yes, sir.
It's more of two questions.
Sure.
One, talk about these restrictions. What are the cons, if any, to
Lots of cons to deed restrictions. So deed restrictions basically many neighborhoods even tell you when you can put your trash can out. So deed restrictions can be as is it like what?
An HOA.
No, so the HOA is who manages and ensures that the deed restrictions are followed and they fine you. But the deed restrictions it's basically telling you how to operate within ownership, which is why she felt like she was too restricted. Some deed restrictions even tell you what color you can paint your house.
Yeah.
So deed restrictions can be very specific, which is the concern with the residents of Acres Homes, because we've had the ability to be able to live life as we like to with soft control. So the soft control is what's published by the city. The city does have a good neighbor list that you should follow, which means you shouldn't have broken down cars in your driveway. You should pull your trash can in at a certain time. You shouldn't have trash sitting out before trash day. So those are the soft rules that we've always had. But the deed restrictions can get a little too invasive for many of the residents, and that's the con.
Yes, ma'am.
On our street, I know that's what they said, I had a car in my yard, and they put a ticket on it.
Yeah.
Okay, but on my street now, they got broke down cars, they got boats, and they just sitting there, and nobody got cars almost backed up to this part of it in the street, not doing anything, you know what I'm saying? And main thing, because we don't support each other. Like on our street, I've been getting so many letters, we wanna buy your house, and like I moved here in '91 from Michigan, and this lady was here and had 2 houses in there, and as soon as their parents died, the house was sold, and we have so much that I just tell my friends, my kids, we need to get together, try to do something to keep our neighborhood open. We have no kind of business really for our children. Renting stuff, most of them don't have no place to rent to our kids because my daughter tried to rent, I think it was a 2-bedroom house, $2,500 a month. And you can't afford it with minimum wage.
Okay.
Yeah, just one last thing on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we talked about grandfathering people, right? This is something I noticed when people they can't afford the taxes, like you mentioned. Is there a way to grandfather people that have been here historically to kind of showcase like, hey, my family been here X amount of years, blah blah blah. So my taxes should increase.
So there are several exemptions that a person can apply for, number one. Number two, there are several different codes depending on how you purchase the property and where you purchase it from. They can be attached to your property that can reduce the amount of money that you pay in taxes. However, there are laws that have recently been passed, which means the first $125,000 value of your home, you don't get taxed until over that dollar amount. So that's when we attack it from a policy standpoint, in effort to reduce it. However, after 65, the majority of the people that I know that are over 65, they have no tax burden because of that $125,000 amount, and there's no tax obligation. And the insurance is the problem with niggas' homes.
It really is. And in reference to the conservation part, once again,
But if they sell it, die, and kids don't pay the tax.
They don't pay for the time that the person was living in exempt. The problem is we wait so long to report it.
So it's
that
really,
we have to pay that.
it's really a deferral. It's really a deferral.
Yeah, it's really deferred.
Right. Right.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was listening to this young man talk, and I like, talk about conservation and stuff. Is there any way you could set something in place to keep everybody happy, but just to stop these developers from putting 20 houses on 10,000 square feet?
Let's ask our developer.
No, I'll be honest with you. When I was in the super neighborhood and doing this here, I didn't understand to the full capacity that I understand now. Because of the value of our land, it's so high. It is very difficult. And the code requirements, drainage requirements, and everything. That's the biggest predator that's coming. When people come and expand our flood map, that's going to even skyrocket our prices even more. So because we have these larger land lots and stuff, it's almost impossible if you come and you say your property is worth 100 to 200,000 and it's only 5,000 or 6,500 square foot. It's hard for me to build you a affordable home and
On
get
that size
any
lot.
So right now, for
if we're trying to talk about affordability in the community. But if we're looking at purely a preservation standpoint, the conservation districts will allow you to set your minimum lot sizes in a designated area. And if you are able to incorporate vacant properties within that conservation district, any developer who tries to build in that space has to honor the minimum lot size set by that conservation district. And this is not something that is just restricted to conservation districts. Neighborhoods can just do that minimum lot size agreement and do it as its own separate requirement for their communities, but it does require neighborhood organizing, and it does require petitions from the community, which that's kind of where we lost a lot of momentum in the beginning, because a lot of neighbors just didn't have the free time to go survey each neighborhood, figure out what the standard lot size was, because some lots were subdivided already, some lots hadn't been subdivided already. And so to do the work of surveying the land, getting consensus from that block, and ensuring everybody was okay with those, it takes a bit of sweat equity to do that. But to Mr. Thibodeau's point, there's also an affordability factor too, because trying to build an affordable home on a 5,000 square foot lot versus trying to build an affordable house on a 2,000 square foot lot, you kind of understand, and I'm not a builder.
5,000 is a standard size lot.
Yeah.
If you divide it, you subdivide it into 2,500 square feet. It's a smaller house, it's more affordable, less concrete, less wood,
Right.
less material.
Right. So then the question becomes, how do we preserve without losing affordability? That's the ultimate crux that we're kind of.
Okay, well, let's do this. I think we've got some notes. One is considering a heritage district. One is considering a conservation district. And that gives us, at the end of this meeting, we can start making some assignments and have some homework to do. And then we can agree when we want to come back and continue the conversation, based on that. What I'd like to do now is move to the second part, which is land retention and land development, because there's always pressure on a landowner, especially unimproved land. And I know from experience, the taxes will eat you up. So either you need to put something on that land that can create some revenue for you or some income, or the taxes are going to drive you to sell it. And that's where the pressure to sell comes from, keeping up with all those taxes. So I'm going to bring Odell up from Houston FinTech to discuss. Odell, what's your last name again? Dove. Odell Dove. I'll let him introduce himself, but here you go. You can put this on your pad. Okay, he's going to talk to us about funding opportunities so that we can maybe avoid the pressure of selling and look toward retaining and developing our own land. And before he starts, I want to say, even with the taxes, there are companies that will pay those taxes for you and finance it and set your payment off for as much as a year, and then you start paying that company back on a monthly basis. So you don't have to lose your land just because the taxes are due and they're about to foreclose on the land. You can finance that and keep your land, get those taxes paid, and maybe pay $200-300 a month starting a year from now. So you don't have to have that pressure to sell just because of the taxes. I'll turn it over to Odell, and you can talk to us about the company you're involved with and the different resources you have available.
All right, fantastic. Should this pick me up? Is this picking me up?
Well, here, use this too.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm home, guys. I'm home. I'm Acres home. I'm Studewood. I grew up in the hood between those two neighborhoods. The 44, the 45, the 85, Paul Quinn and West Montgomery, Inwood Forest. Sylvester and I used to be neighbors at one time. Dixon's mom and I used to be neighbors at one time. So I'm very familiar with this area. What you guys are talking about tonight when you say you've been here 10 years, 20 years, we've had these conversations 30 something years ago. Mr. Langston Knowles, I don't know if anybody knows Knowles Realty. Mr. Knowles taught us this in high school. So that's how far back I go with being concerned about this area. The problem has always been the same problem it is with us in a lot of things. We don't know how to come together. We don't know how to come together. There are laws and rules and way grants and there are access. There's access to money and capital and ways to get this stuff done. We have to be consistent and committed to be one force to get these things done. And it starts with the people themselves. The landowners, all of you that are landowners, you're the wealthiest people in the world. As we look at the macroeconomics, what's happening with Trump and all of this stuff, and as land is always one of the most powerful resources in the world, especially when you have serious amounts of land, right? It used to be a time where you could come through Acres Home, people grew their own stuff. You might not like your neighbor because your neighbor might have had chickens, might have had some pigs. You might not like that. I mean, what made Acres Home beautiful was that everybody had their own thing. You had the shade tree mechanic that had 4 or 5 cars sitting on the property, and your house might have been what you think is really nice, and he's working on the neighborhood cars next, and you're like, man, come on. You know, there's ways to manage that, right? We can ask maybe he do a privacy fence and do it behind that fence. But the main thing is first to be a united force. Once you're a united force and you guys are serious about that, from there, everything that can facilitate that comes together. For instance, the university district around U of H, TSU, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but this is Third Ward is where a lot of the servants worked, right? The rich people lived here and all the servants lived around TSU, right? The first thing they did when we talked about naming is they changed the name. Instead of saying Third Ward, they call that the University District. But if you go over there now, just off of 45, just south of it, a friend of mine and I, with the help of Sylvester, we were able to get a lot of the property that a lot of people, a lot of the younger generation, and this is where I respect my elders here, a lot of our younger people don't appreciate what the older people went and did. So your property, a lot of your property, you pass away, and like one person said, for your head get cold, it's sold. Worse yet, we argue as family, amongst family, the siblings are arguing about who gonna do what. There's somebody want to sell, there's somebody wants to keep. The interesting part is the person that wants to keep don't want to pay the taxes, don't want to do the maintenance, but you want to keep it. It's legacy. We gotta get serious about what ownership have responsibilities. But in Third Ward, and we can get you the information, whoever's gonna be the point person. But in Third Ward, with Sylvester Turner's help, we were able to do some stuff that's called affordable homes. Right, matter of fact, right now, we got 2 very beautiful 1-story homes that are specifically for affordable people, right? So the max I think you can make is 53 grand, 54,640. You familiar with what I'm talking about? Yeah, Mayberry built them for us. You know what I'm talking about? Those are your listeners? So you know who I'm talking about then. That person, that brother, knows a lot about how to get access to affordable homes. And those are beautiful brick homes. Brick all the way to the trim. Affordable. That we can do that here. But it takes consensus. It takes people giving up a little bit of what we call freedom. We can't have the builders, and I want you guys to understand this. The developers that's coming in, they're coming in not worried about the horses and whatever else you got going on right now. Because once they get that political power, you're not gonna have that no way. You're not gonna have that no way. Right? They'll get it to the point where you won't be able to, you have to have permission to go on your own driveway. So it starts with the landowners maintaining the land. How do we do that? One of the things we talked about was over 65, right? You can do exemptions. So don't be too proud. If you're a younger person, the wisest thing you can do is put your grandmother, your grandfather, or something on the ownership. That's the wisest thing you can do. The next thing would be to do like Ira Hilliard did. Come on, listen. For those of you that don't know Ira Hilliard or what he did, right, and what a lot of churches do, they take the property and put it all under the umbrella of nonprofit. What did if I own 10 acres of property and I can legally justify it as a nonprofit, whether it's a church or a community, anything that can fall into that category where it becomes non-taxable, I just killed the taxes forever. Ira here you got 16 properties on one piece of land, and all of it is tax-free because it's under that. So we would have to have, or you guys would have to have someone able to understand how to legally structure. I know I'm supposed to be standing up here talking about money, but y'all forgive me because I'm real enough, man. This is a conversation Dixon and I had when we started building the subdivisions he wanted to build there. That's how far back I go. This is the conversation that we had in the South. Windsor Village, those subdivisions built out there, Kirby John and I. That's how far back I go. It's not new to me. For Acres Home to maintain its legacy, we got to start at the beginning, which is to respect owning the property and being responsible for the property, looking at what's legal. What can we do? Now, I'm going to get into what I'm supposed to be talking about. I just needed to start there because that's not a new conversation. You had a mayor, Sylvester Turner, took 20 years. We talked 20 years. It took us 20 years to make him mayor. But he could not do, and he wanted to do so much more for Acres Home. The citizens of Acres Homes, your division, your lack of unity, your lack of supporting him while he was in office to push this, that kept him from doing a lot of what he wanted to do, and it's why we're talking about this stuff right now. So I had to start there. Now, Houston FinTech, our company is private money, right? So when we talk about private money, you got bank money, right? You can go to the bank, apply for a loan, and meet their criteria. Private money is a lot more lax, right? We still want to make a profit, but when we loan money, we're a little bit more aggressive, right? Which means we'll take chances on newer businesses. If you're a real estate investor, if you say, hey, I want to build in Acres Home, and you can be a brand new company. Go get your LLC, you got 700 credit or whatever, you can come start talking to us about money that same day, next day. Where the bank might say, hey, I need 2 years of seasoning. I need to see what you built. Well, how can I build something if I never had the money? Right? So we're private capital source. We have access to institutional money, rich family money, like the Fertitas, families that have plenty of money, Dubai money. And they say, hey, make us some money with our money. That's how we can be aggressive. That's how we can loan to newer companies. We can loan to people trying to develop. So funding opportunities for land development, obviously the value of the property is here, right? The model is already here. All the developers that are coming in have already established your value. So if you say, hey, we want to build XYZ, that's probably pretty easy for us to do. We are going to want to know, do you know what you're doing? Right? If you put a building up, do you know what you're doing? Do you have the engineering, the architecture? Do you, right? So just because we're private capital and we're willing to take a little bit more risk doesn't mean that we are, crazy. We still need to know you know what you're doing. Access to capital and financing tools. So on our website, we have all the different ways and all of the different things we fund. It's not all real estate related. It's not all real estate related. But as it pertains to Acres Home and how we can maintain Acres Home, please feel free to reach out to us. Go on our website, give us a call. If you own property, if you're trying to acquire property, and you have a business plan, I'm going to say this, if you have a business plan, right? Dreamers dream. What separates a dreamer from somebody that's done it already or doing it? A plan, an executed plan, right? We all can lay on the bed and dream, sit on the couch and dream. The difference between that person and somebody else is the action in between, right? So we have access to plenty capital. So I'm going to say this and then I'm going to stop. There's no excuse about the money. No excuse about the money. No excuse about the money. Well, I don't have no money. I don't have 700 credit. There's no excuse about the money. Here's the thing about private capital with us. If you come to me with the idea, you don't have the credit, you don't have the money, but your business plan look like something that makes sense, there are people like me that'll invest in it. If you're willing to share the pie, let me see it. If it makes, right, we about money.
What about feelings? What about feelings?
Feelings?
Feelings.
Failings? Felons?
Even if you got feelings, y'all probably do something.
I don't. Okay, so I'm glad he's asking a great question. So for those of you that don't know, if you've never applied for a loan, let's say you got 700 credit. Let's say you built several developments, so you got the experience. You go to a bank. The banks do this, LexisNexis, social media, right? Young folks, understand this. What you post on social media, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Be careful, young folks, what you post on social media. It is coming into your reality when you look for a job. It is coming into your reality when you apply for a business loan. Your record is going to come into reality when you apply for a business loan with a bank, right? If it's private capital, right? There's some family money that'll say, no, we don't want to be involved. And there's some stuff I'm not going to be involved in, right? So if you come to me, if I know that you SA little girls or something, or you know what I'm saying? There's some things I'm not going to be a part of. I could do it, but I'm not going to be a part of it. So I do have my own criteria. But
my clients have been denied if they're looking to construct something near a gun range, and they decline them for that, not because of them personally, but because of the location being near a gun range.
Yeah, so to answer your question real quick, I don't care if you're a felon or not, if it's
Not talking messing with little kids and all that.
if you beating on women or if you violating kids or something like that, pass me up. But if it's you stole something or you used to sell crack or something, are you going to make some money now, legally and legitimate? You understand? I'm gonna keep it real with you. If it's gonna make money, that's what I'm about, right? Right? It's the grace of God. Listen, I'm not a judge. It's the grace. I told y'all I grew up in Studewood and in Acres Home. It's the grace of God that I'm a dude walking around with spotless, you know what I'm saying? Because I got friends, cousins and stuff that's got numbers. Spending time in there right now. You understand? So I would never be the one to judge against you on something like that. I would say, let me see the plan. Let me see what you, I don't want to just hear your dream. I need to see you working. I need to see you working the plan. You don't tell me about it. Let your actions show me what you're about, right? If you already doing it, you already working, you studying, you sit down with me, you say, man, I do. Okay, come on, let's talk. But don't waste my time coming sitting to me about a dream, right? That's not what we're about. So to answer your question, bro, I don't care if you're a felon or not. But just to say in general, the banks do. The banks do, a lot of people do. Watch what you put out there on social media. Your LexisNexis, all of this stuff will be a effect. So there is no excuse for money. There's money in so many different ways. The listeners that she holds, that cat, that's a beautiful dude, man. And I'm sure he probably would be happy to volunteer, Warren, to come and talk to your people. But he gonna say the same thing that I'm gonna say. Don't waste our time. We doing it. We eating. You see what I'm saying? So don't waste our time. Be about it. If you're about it and you say, hey, I just need to know the way. Oh, we can show you the way. There's no excuse. Your credit is not an excuse because we know how to get your credit where it's supposed to be. But right now, if somebody, before I leave here, if you got something that make money, that's real, you got a plan you can show me that make money, you could pull my name up on the internet. I'm that dude. It's Odell Dove, Odelldova. If it makes money, it makes sense, we can talk about it. But you got to already be in action. I don't need people that's just laying there dreaming. I don't have no elevators. Does that make sense? Y'all, forgive me, Warren, if I'm a little off. So there's no excuse for money. Guys, there's grants, there's private funds. When it comes to capital, you got capital at banks, you got capital at private funds like our company, you got grant money, you got affordable money that's set aside just for building affordable houses. So can you build affordable in Acres Home? Yes, you can, right? She's doing a listing for somebody right now that same plan can work here.
We actually have the Houston Land Bank. That same floor plan was built here in Acres Home.
Oh, was it?
Under the Houston Land Bank is one of them.
Okay, cool beans. So there you go. It's already been done. We just need to keep doing it. Forgive me.
No, you have no problem, man. Thank you. Let's give Mr. DeVere. Okay, open dialogue. We got 15 minutes left before we end. Any questions, comments?
Oh, yeah.
The floor is open. Yeah.
So I absolutely have a Tony, and I think for us, oftentimes in this community, we come together, we have a meeting, but we miss at the plan. Many communities, and some of the communities that I talked about before, they have a 20-50-year plan for their neighborhood. And I did hear people talk about having affordable. It's all mixed. So they have low to moderate, and then they have high level properties within their community that we have, but we just did not devise a plan for that construction. And many of us have land that's available to start building. But as a collective, it would be important for us to say, this is the plan that we want for our community, and this is where we see it going. And with that, then we can start asking or requiring other businesses to provide us with those services that we need within the community. And then there was one thing that about something somebody said about land. Oh, about the land. If you, because this happens to us as well, it was either wide or long in Acres Homes. An acre was either wide or it was a long acre. So many of us have the property that's next door, and then we pay taxes on the land that's separate. I don't know how many of you are doing that. If you combine it all and get one tax ID number, you get a discount on your taxes. So if you live, I don't know, 1705, and the lot is 1707, if you combine it all to the tax roll, you'll get a discount on your taxes instead of paying taxes separately.
How's that? Yeah.
How y'all doing, everybody? My name is Isaiah Thomas. My grandmother, she started the first nail salon right there across the street from Garden City, right there in Chandler. My father still got a barber shop right here down the street on West Montgomery. I'm a professional professional basketball player right there from Acres Home. Me and as well as my brothers started WIPO Youth Development Program. And just like she was saying, some people have 30-year plans and stuff like that. I'm sure y'all are aware of the Willie Lynch Mission and how they said they were supposed to put us back 400 years. We have a 300-year plan that we brought to a lot of these people 2 years ago, and none of them believed. You know what I'm saying? Just like that guy that was talking at first. You know what I mean? And so we started putting our boots on the ground and started doing stuff because y'all weren't listening to it. You know what I'm saying? And so, brother, we do have a plan, a 300-year plan. I'm from here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in here speaking up all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't be heard, and we will be heard. We have more people that's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? But we trying to come and partner with y'all, and y'all turn y'all back on us. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like that personally.
Well,
You
no.
know what I'm saying? And I speak up every time. You know what I'm saying? Every single time. But we gotta unify, just like this man just came in and told us. Or we gonna another 60 years gonna go right down the drain. It's been 60 years. I'm 32 years old. You see what I'm saying? I got a lot of passion, and I apologize if I'm gonna rub some of y'all the wrong way. But that's just how I have to come and be myself. Because this is Acres Home. And if we want Acres Home to stay Acres Home, we gotta unify.
Thank you, Isaiah. Yes.
Okay, we've started. So what is our plan when we leave here? Are we gonna work on the plan to say, let's start from day one to do the entry signs? What are we gonna do? We need to be able to leave here knowing that, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So when we come back next week, we got some answers.
Very good. What say you?
I can send the grant application so that we know how to submit the grant for next year. I can pull that grant application so that way we'll know, and we'll know how much money we need to raise so that we can make that match. So I can have that.
Okay.
And then Ray said she was gonna get the details on the person from Lower Run who got the $2,000 sign.
Do we want to come back in 2 weeks?
Warren, I didn't see anything on there in regards to, I know back in the day we used to talk about the CDAs and things like that, but I didn't see it. I think that should be added on there. One of the things I think we miss, we get this idea that we always got to go after grant money, city money, and things like that, not minimizing all of the wealth that we do have in the community. We got some bad Mama Jones that come out of Acres Home. When I started my business, real talk, it was just a joke that I was out there that's in the hood that funded me and helped me and everything else. And so our elders got money, our partners got money, our friends and the people that we sitting here sitting on money.
James, we want all the money. We want the grant money. We want the.
I'm gonna tell you like this. In the years
Let him finish. Let him finish. Remember our ground rules at the beginning? Okay, thank you.
Don't be caught out now. Just this way. But to be honest with you, I think this brother reached out to the office one time right here. I got a call. I have never got presented. I mean, we doing 14 active projects just to make us home with a CDA.
Okay, what is a CDA?
A community development agreement. And nobody has pitched me an idea and said, hey man, can y'all fund this deal if you're gonna be right here next door? Or the Civic Club has presented me and said, can you fund this little park right here or this thing right there? Not out of all the projects that we have done in the past, and even 3 other builders that's from Acres Home, and they can say the same thing. Nobody from the community, now that's not you, but has asked to partner on a project like this. And what I mean, like a pet project with signage and things like that, where we got to get permitting and all that type of stuff.
Well, first, let's acknowledge Mr. Thibodeau for coming.
Yeah.
Because he's a developer. We've been talking about those mean developers, but he's a developer right in here in this room with us. So let's give him a round of applause for coming. Fading the heat, you know. Okay, CDA. Okay. Community Development Agreement. Okay. Yes, sir. Right. So what we need to do is get some research on both and come back before the group again as to what's the pros, what's the cons, what's the strength, what's the weaknesses of both of those, and then we can start to make a decision what direction is best to go in. Go ahead. That's what we're gonna decide tonight.
And one other thing that I'm thinking is actually naming the community Acres Homes. And then we gotta come up with an agreement, is it Acres Homes, is it Acres Homes with this? I mean, we gotta figure out. So if we actually develop the name and figure out how that name.
Now, I don't know do you know what that process would look like to officially name this community Acres Home?
Yeah, I can check. I know
Okay.
a couple places that I can check.
Okay,
And one of them, it appears as a master plan community, but I just searched it. Rain said that it was, the Rice Institute did a study, but I searched it and it says, no, it's not. It's just 100-year-old community that was saying.
okay.
So we can check the Rice.
I pulled it up one time and it said something about Heights of Highland or something.
Yeah, Highland Heights.
Highland Heights.
That's on our deeds.
That is absolutely the community.
Yeah.
Highland Heights Annex, Highland Heights.
Highland Heights Annex 1, lot and block.
So just for clarity, proper name also goes with becoming a master plan.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, you.
So I work for the city, so while I was sitting here, I just sent an email to the planning department, saying, can you explain to me, because I don't know the difference and what the process is to establish historic versus conservation versus heritage district. And then I also, and it not get back to me, but I'll try. So we go with it. That's okay. They're great. Anyway. And then also there's a thing called a management district, which some neighborhoods have. I also don't know the process works, but it's basically like businesses come together in the neighborhood and like all contribute to doing signage, doing branding for neighborhoods. So I also sent an email to somebody else saying, what does that involve? What's the process?
So the Northwest Management District is actually connected to us. So Northwest Management District is just right here in Inwood. And we can, according to the city of Houston, we can partner with Northwest Management District to get, or to fulfill some of the items that we need to complete within the community. And that district is already established.
But it doesn't have to be over on the Antoine side.
No, it doesn't have to be over there. They actually can provide funds for projects in Acres Homes.
Okay, good. Good. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Just a quick comment.
Come on.
To not be involved as I once was and stuff like that, but I know we talk a lot about us being separate, but in these past years, I've seen more unity in our community. Just actually having a meeting in this space, a town hall meeting, and since you took over the leadership and things like that, and the things, so I commend you guys, I commend the super neighborhood with Rain and everybody doing, and all the community leaders. And so I say we can build on that instead of constantly telling us that we,
right.
Well, I don't want to say constantly telling us, but let's build on that unity that we have seen, because there has been some progress, but we can build on that progress that we have been doing, or that you guys have been doing. So.
Anyone else?
Well, I'm
yes,
okay. I don't live in this community, but I work in this community. Don't look at the name change right here, but I didn't come in that capacity. I came in the capacity of understand, listen, and serve as much as I can with what I have. So thank you so much for putting this on today. I'm committed to learn about your history. Thank you for sharing that today. And wherever I can do my capacity, I'm here to serve as well.
And who are you with? You with Chase?
I'm with Chase Bank. Yes.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm a community manager or
Great.
community engagement person. So
great.
I connect with people that need the service. So
great.
I can connect with him. Yeah. You know, I know the sources in there. Yes.
Yeah.
All the sources.
We need some Chase. We need some Chase money.
Yeah. Money. So yes, we have resources. So I
right.
connect with each and every one to see how we can help. So again, I came here in the capacity of a citizen to learn about this community. I work here down in this area.
Right.
I'm looking forward to connect with all of you guys to understand as well more about this area, and I'm just excited. And to your point, one thing that I learned over the years is focus on one, make it simple, focus on one thing at a time, and celebrate small wins. If we can go ahead and put those signs out there, that's a small win, it's progress.
Yeah.
So when you come back next week, next month, whatever might be next meeting or next year, something was done out of this community that came together to do one thing, and it was done. So
great. Yeah. Okay, we've got about 7 minutes left. We want to stop on time.
Okay,
yes.
So what are we talking about for the next meeting? We need action plans.
Yeah, we need the action plans, and we need to schedule our next meeting. So, what do we have any action plans down?
The only thing that I really circled was coming up with conservation versus heritage. Y'all decided on
And
Okay.
then, going back to this, and then Ray, I know she's up there getting water, was going to get the information from, Willow Run on the cost of, or how to get that signed. That was it. So what else for?
The application. The application and the funds that, right, we would need and how we're gonna raise it.
Okay, well, let me write it on a new piece of paper.
So we know a
And then I'll put
design,
those other notes.
a design, have you already did a design of how you want
That's
to do
what
it, so we
the-
can know cost?
Yeah, that's what they got.
We just expressed that.
No.
Yeah.
For the application to submit for the grant.
Oh, yeah, for the matching.
Okay.
Okay, so conservation versus. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. And put a name by the person that's gonna.
We don't, okay, so when the person.
Yeah. So Letitia's gonna bring
The application.
the application.
For this is, I'm just writing conservation versus heritage.
Okay.
Who's going to?
Leah, is that you?
Yes,
Find
find
out.
out the information, if the next meeting gets scheduled, what I just have here, maybe I can ask the legal plan,
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna put your name by it and I'll circle back.
Okay.
Okay, what was next? The application?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then, JD, you said something about design or?
No, I was asking it so that we'll know that cost, but you said everything's gonna be.
Yes, I will, get the contact information from the, sign person that, Willow Run did.
All right.
And how are we collecting the funds? Where the funds being kept?
Okay, so I'm gonna put your name next to application. You also wanna be the funds manager?
I mean, the super neighbor would.
Yeah. That's fine. Application and funds.
Is there a permitting and do we have to purchase the lot, or will the city allow us to do it, or you talking about in the,
When you're
in the
talking
island?
when you're talking about signs, there is a permitting process, but typically if you're doing it with the neighborhood grant, that's already, accounted.
We have to get the approval. We have to have the approval when we submit the application.
Leah,
Not
Leah's gonna
council.
get that. Leah, JD, Leah's
No,
gonna
that's
get
what I'm
that.
saying, because what used to happen was that the council members always help with that permitting.
Well, looking for somebody who works in the county versus office.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Yes, sir.
I just had a quick question. Perhaps it was already answered, but what does preservation or preserving our community look like? I've heard a comment about maintaining the name, understanding those boundaries, but for me personally, I just need the clarity on what exactly does preservation or preserving our neighborhood look like, so that those items can be identified and maybe a plan, a symbol to support, because I still don't have that clarity.
Go ahead.
I mean, essentially what would need to happen, we would need to get a general consensus, like a survey of what the actual character of the community is. Because the reality is that there aren't very many historic properties from the early days of the Acres Homes community that can be preserved at this point. There may be some lots, but it doesn't make up the majority. Majority of the housing is more contemporary, that was built, if I'm not mistaken, close to the 1970s and 1980s. At least that's what it looks like, the housing stock looks like now. So if we are talking about preservation, we would need to have that survey and just get it out to the community to see what are those identifying characteristics of Acres Homes that we want to preserve, and make sure that that's what we use as the litmus test for whatever we choose to lock in. Now, how we disseminate that survey, I think that's a town hall part 2 question.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely going to require a far-reaching outreach plan that may require some additional dollars to do so, to get more people to participate.
Because
Well-
we typically talk about it, what I usually hear is preserving the culture, not actually physical properties. Like people are saying, I want to preserve the community because I want, it's a more of a feeling and not something substantial. So we have to require people to dig a lot deeper than saying, well, I want to have horses, or I want to feel like it did in the 50s. We need to have more than a feeling. So we have to dig and help them to dive a little bit deeper.
Well, well, that was the agenda for tonight. Maybe you missed that, but it was two parts. The first was preserving the legacy and the history, and that's where the conversation came up about getting these community entry signs, so that no matter what a particular developer may market his property as, when people enter into this area, they see a sign that says "Welcome to Acres Homes." You know, and then from there I went to how do we make sure this is actually called Acres Home, you know. So the second part was what Mr. Dove was talking about, for us not to feel like we have to succumb to the pressure to sell our land. We might have problems with taxes, you know, heirs and whatever, but we don't necessarily have to sell our land. We need to look toward developing our properties ourselves. And that's where he came in and said, if you got a plan, it's a real plan, and you're not just dreaming, you got an actionable, workable plan, this man can bring the money. You know, so we don't have any excuses. They say, well, my credit ain't good enough, I'm gonna just sell because I don't. No, the money is there. The expertise is there. The people that can draw plans are there. We just need to be serious about how to hold on and do for ourselves and develop our own properties rather than sell them off to people. Some of these people building out here, that money is coming from Israel.
Yeah.
Believe that. I know because man told me. Yeah. Cartels, all of that. Buying up land in our families and building what they want to do. So we need to start thinking about doing for self-preservation and self-reliance, okay?
I was gonna ask if we can add on there, if we possibly can get a representative from the planning department. So before the issue that happened on Montrose, our foundation, our family foundation got approved to do on West Montgomery, the crosswalks, just put the Acres Home flag on the crosswalk on both sides. We went to the planning department, we submitted the plans and we got everything approved. But when that got that cracked down for Montrose, where they had to remove the, you know, the gay flag, they rejected it. They told we couldn't proceed. But I think that if we have a planning, representative here, they can kind of tell us where, you know, what we can do to get that approved for our signages on those different places.
Okay. And I have one last question for you, JB. You talked about that CDA, Community Development Agreement. Have you seen those, or do you have access to a sample of one of them?
I have a sample copy of one, and then I remember Ebony Rain back then was pushing that, and so she might have more of the things I just said. I haven't had nobody to submit one to. Yeah.
So is that something that you can send me or bring next time, only else we can distribute
The city copy of the master plan?
No, the community development agreement. A community development agreement.
Oh, yes. I can bring that. I can.
Okay, if you can't send it in ahead of time, send it to our email.
Yeah.
So we'll have it. Okay.
I have one thing.
Okay.
Because I know we're talking about preserving, but what I also noticed in Acres Home is there, like, we have a lack of sidewalks in the neighborhood. The inner core.
Yeah. Planning. Yeah.
But they can be, because I know we're doing one thing at a time, but they can be one of the steps down line.
Yeah.
Okay. I also wanted to know if the person who asked, I see you back there, blue shirt.
John.
I'm sorry, John. Yeah. Do you have an idea of what preservation is? I feel like you had something that.
No, I didn't have an idea. I was just trying to understand, you know, because legacy can be vague.
Yeah.
What legacy means to one person can differ from the other. So as long as like we have a general consensus as to what this looks like, so no one is confused.
Well, to be specific, we're talking about protecting our name.
Right.
In addition to other things, we want to preserve our name. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to offer, my name is Sophia Brown, I work in Harris County Tax Office.
Great.
And I go around throughout Harris County, and I heard you were super neighborhood president. What you're talking about with that first piece, super neighborhood number 71, Melanie Young. Yes. They have already did this, and I sat through a whole lot of those meetings, so that might be like a model for maybe you can talk with her. The Basin Sunnyside has done what you're talking about. And I just wanted to offer that. And I also do, I just got assigned to precinct 1. We do outreach, but I will leave the telephone number to one of Commissioner Roger Ellis' contact, my contact, and maybe somehow they can help as well, because we know
Right.
visited, done problems.
Great. Okay.
And just speaking of elected officials, again, I'm Adonica. I'm representing the campaign and community director for Councilwoman Sylvia Garcia. She's now in 29 because Trump had changed the maps. So she's going to be involved when things, as long as she's not in DC. So I'm just coming to see what everything's about, take it to her. So
Okay.
thank you all for welcoming me. And I'll definitely.
Thank you for coming. Okay, it's after 8 o'clock. Let's talk about our next meeting. When shall we reconvene? 2 weeks, a month, next week?
Yeah,
Does it feel like too long or does that feel good?
a month.
Okay. Right. I know that's right. I mean,
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
okay, well, let me say this. Our friend is coming back on the 13th to talk to the people about online fraud. So not that big.
4 weeks is the 10th.
This has nothing to do with this meeting.
All right.
But who in the
Well, what are
hell left that RV? Oh, and it's still sitting there.
Okay. And the police were
And the
there
police
because
stopped
it
them
was
the first week.
on the
And they was on the street and
Yeah.
they made them put it in the center. I'm tired of it.
But a ticket has been put in for that.
But somebody
Okay.
just gonna set it on fire.
Okay, let's stay on topic. We gotta get a meeting date. Thank you, Diane. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Alice. Let's hold quiet. We're almost finished. We're almost home. Come on. Come on, Alice.
I always say it don't take all day to do something. So because we have 4 weeks, are we just gonna sit there and just do nothing until those 4 weeks come? I mean, do it take all day to do what needs to be done?
I think we should be able to come back in a couple of weeks, but
May I make a suggestion?
yes.
So I think since it's 4 weeks, I think a good action item for everybody here who doesn't have their name on the board would be to, and this is what Ms. Leah actually just whispered, actually go talk to your neighbors and ask them, like, what does the neighborhood character look like for them? See if you can at least, because a lot of the things, and this is just what I discovered in my brief time in City Hall, a lot of the problems we're going to come up against in terms of planning, development, things of that nature, the city is always going to default to, well, did you talk to me first?
Okay, so here's my thing. What is the exact question? Because we don't want everybody asking something.
Well, we're not doing like a in-depth formal survey.
No, it's not a survey, but
What is the character in neighbor's home?
Like, what do you think the character of the community is?
okay, so that's the question.
Yes.
To your neighbor, what do you think the character of the community is?
And then when we come back in 4 weeks, we
How
can
does-
actually do like a little word board.
How does that weigh in on establishing? I'm really interested. I'll speak for myself. I'm interested in the process of establishing the name of this community. And then how do we preserve that?
Well, this is what we need in order to decide to do a conservation district, yeah? To start, we have to have.
For physical thing, for the physical character, yes, we would need those parameters. But to his point, I think, I don't know everything. I'm thinking getting some direction on how to get the master plan or master name of Acres Homes in first would be
Yeah.
would be a layer of protection. Not a
Yeah.
solid layer, but at least a start.
So that needs to be an action. How do we actually get a master plan designation or whatever so that we can name our community the name that we all call it anyway?
Can you email us a synopsis of what we discussed and what we need to do?
As long as you put it on that paper.
It's on the paper.
Okay, yeah, we'll send out email. Okay, so what's our agreement as to the next meeting date?
The only thing I have on here is June 10th. Some people are saying 2 weeks, some people are saying a month.
Okay. All in favor of 2 weeks? Raise your hand. Okay, all in favor of 3 weeks? All in favor of a month? Y'all got outvoted. Okay, it's a month.
Okay, so 6/10.
6/10. June the 10th.
All right, so.
June the 10th, our next meeting.
So then again, for those who do not have a exact task, your job is to, and again, we'll send an email, as long as your information is on there, you'll get it. If your information is not there, do not say that we didn't try. What does the character of the community look like to you? Ask that question to your neighbors.
And I'm gonna say, while you're talking to them, be sure to invite them to the Affordable Housing Conference on June 27th.
And invite them to the next meeting on June the 10th.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay, so
right.
this is the plan. Isaiah, I feel like, is there something that you want to do already? Are you ready to ask a question to your neighbors? Okay. Okay, so we have Leah Buckhall. Raise your hand and wave. This is Leah. She works for the city. So she's already sent an email, so she's gonna manage the conservation versus heritage component. She's gonna find out how we get a permit, if we need one, and she's gonna bring a planning rep if possible. Okay. Then we've got the application for the grant and how to manage the funds. Letitia Grant, the president of the Super Neighborhood Council, is going to do that, and she's also going to talk to Super Neighborhood Council number 71. Then Rain is going to find out, because you girls are just doing a lot of it.
We're finding out some information.
Okay, synergy. Rain is going to find out the design and the cost, and she's going to
Bring that information back.
Do the sample CDA.
Yep.
Okay, so then we're gonna be back here on 6/10.
Yeah.
Send the email. 6:30.
Norma?
Yeah, in the meantime, one of the ways that we show that Acres Homes is still here is that we show up when things happen in the community. And so, Diane and I both have something we want to share. I'm gonna let Diane go ahead first.
June 13th, we will have our community annual Juneteenth parade. June 13th. We will definitely have it because that's the community, that's something Sylvester started, and it's about Acres Home. So June 13th, and you'll be getting more information, how to register and all that other good stuff.
And let me just comment on that. Sylvester, Honorable Sylvester Turner, started the official city recognition in 2007, 2008. We've been having Juneteenth parades in Acres Home since I was a child. So it's not just their legacy, it's our legacy. So it didn't start in 2008, because prior to that, we celebrated Juneteenth without asking anybody's permission.
He didn't start it in 2011.
Okay, yeah.
You did one with Carver for 2010. That's because of it was when Acres Home turned 100 years old.
Yeah.
Then he decided that let's keep it going, and we put it on Juneteenth that next year for the celebration, because people started saying Acres Home have a parade. Carver has been having parades.
Been having a parade.
And they were allowing they allowed the Historical Society to be a part of the parade, and then Sylvester says, well, he will talk to his people and pull some strings, and he's gonna get it back on West Montgomery.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead.
Okay, and so the second thing that we want to tell you about is taking place on June 6th at Emancipation Park. There is the annual Celebrate Freedom. It's Juneteenth Houston that coordinates and creates the collaboration of this event. And the beautiful thing about this event, which is why I say it's one of the most important events that takes place in the city of Houston regarding our historically Black communities, because 7 historically Black communities are represented. We get a huge tent we have a display about our community.
Oh, yeah.
And we can say that since they have begun, Acres Homes has shown up and shown out when it came to our display. And we also do there's an elder and youth pouring of libations to begin the ceremony. And then each community does a 7-minute presentation. Again, Acres Homes shows up and shows out. But what we need is Acres Homes to come out and support. This is what's happening. The event starts at 1. The opening ceremony starts at 3, and this year they're doing a big brass band thing. And then so the presentations begin at 3:30. But at 5 o'clock, there is a community roll call. And so when they call Acres Homes, we need our tent overflowing with people. We need Acres Homes to show up and show out. So spread the word. That's June 6th. And this is part of Juneteenth Houston. It's part of the 19 days of Juneteenth. And one of the themes, which I love, is that Juneteenth is not a day, it's a season.
Okay. Well, listen. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know we're ready to go, and he's anxious to close out. This is not in June. This is actually next weekend. And the reason why this is important, this is a restaurant opening. And it's not necessarily in Acres Homes, it's right on Yale Street, but it's so close, right? And I believe that we could turn Yale into our own Almeda on this side of town, where we have stuff to do, stuff to eat. So I want y'all to come to the grand opening of this restaurant. We're going to do a ribbon cutting. It is going to be May 22nd, 4 o'clock p.m. It's called Torps. It's a reservation only type of situation because it's kind of small, but it's sort of high end. Okay, it's not super expensive, but it's nice, and we deserve that. So I would love to see y'all there.
It's right before, across, almost cat a corner to Yale, what we call Yale Village. I've eaten there. The food, the chef is top notch. The food is great, and it's fine dining in the hood. Okay, so please support it. Listen, I want to thank you all for coming out. I think we made a lot of progress. This is definitely a step in the right direction in terms of organizing our community. Look forward to seeing you next time. There's still some food left over, and
Can I get your number?
I'll be turning the lights out in 15 minutes.